Members of the public, welcome all. Welcome to this OCM, both those here in attendance this evening and then joining us online as well. This meeting is being live streamed, and I will declare this meeting open, and doing so I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Noongar Waderi people, and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. We pay our respects to all members of the Aboriginal community, to their culture and to elders past, present and emerging. Thank you, and I note that Councillor Gassab has joined us online. Councillor Gassab, just checking in that you can hear us.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gassab. As always, I can see you in front of me, so anytime you have a question or would like to speak, just raise your hand. Thank you. I do note there was some audio issues around from last week, so for elected members when you were speaking, please talk into the microphone. For those joining us this evening, I know there's many of our familiar faces in the room, but for those who are joining us for the first time this evening or potentially online, this is an OCM meeting, so it's an official council meeting. There is an opportunity for public question time, which we will get to. These meetings are governed by the standing orders, and we follow those accordingly. There are a couple of apologies this evening. So the Deputy Mayor is an apology, Councillor Todd Brown is an apology, our CEO is an apology, Director Andrew McRobert is also an apology. So we have some new faces here, and of course Councillor Gassab is online. The rest of us are here, and thank you all for attending. Sorry, Councillor Brown is actually on approved leave, not an apology. I have received one declaration of interest, and that's from Councillor Ramesh. It is an impartial interest on item 10.3.2. Elected members, are there any other declaration of interest for this evening's meeting? Thank you. We'll keep moving. We are at public question time, and I believe a number of these questions have been lodged prior, so we do have responses to these, I understand. Some of them deal with operational matters, and I'll refer to the acting CEO on those. So we'll just go through them in the order that we have been received, and what I'll do is ask you to come and ask your questions, and then I'll ask I'll ask for a response. So we'll start with Miranda Hirsch. Miranda is here. I did see her here. Hey, Miranda. Come on up, Miranda. So you do have the opportunity to ask 3 questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm very new to this, so if I make a mistake, please point it out.
No problems.
Okay. So I'm Miranda. I'm from the Back Beach Cafe and Restaurant. As you know, there's been a bit of controversy regarding the way and the manner in which we were issued a notice to vacate. This situation is way far bigger than just myself and my husband running the local business. This is very much about the ratepayers, the people of Bunbury, and the people who frequent the Back Beach Cafe. We have over 1,000 local people a week going into our restaurant. Those people and mainly because of the way we operate, they're people who are older, who find a lot of other businesses are not the type of business.
Miranda, you can give a little, basically in the standing order it talks about giving, asking questions without any background. So I'll give you a little bit of leeway there if you want to just summarise and jump into your questions.
Okay, the next one.
Miranda.
So my question relates to the city's governance obligations, the community wellbeing, and the fiduciary duty of ratepayers in relation to the issuing of the notice to vacate the Back Beach Cafe and Restaurant in just 17 days. After receiving an email on the 26th of May stating that the lease would continue on a month-by-month basis. The reason given by Odetta Robertson was that we failed to respond to an email that she...
So Miranda, again, this isn't an opportunity for that sort of debate.
Just so that people understand what went on, I've got one sentence and then I'll be asking my question. Thank you.
Sure, I'll allow that. Thank you.
Okay. She said that we failed to respond to an email and that she had heard that we were refusing to fix things. These 2 reasons were actually confirmed by another member of the City of Bunbury. So my questions are, why did the City of Bunbury issue a notice to vacate without proper investigation, without verifying the claims relied upon, and without following its own governance procedures, given the reasons used were later shown to be invalid and unlawful?
I'll urge you to ask all your questions. Thanks, Miranda.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll provide responses to them.
Do you want me to ask the other 2?
Yep.
Thank you. Second question. Given that the Back Beach Cafe's primary customer base is local residents, serving over 1,250 people a week, 50 weeks of the year, without whom the business or any Bunbury business could survive, and that it also provides value to visitors and tourist operators. How does the City of Bunbury reconcile its decision to close a venue that directly and clearly supports community well-being, local employment and Bunbury's identity as a coastal destination? Question number 3. Will the City of Bunbury honour its original written commitment that the Back Beach Cafe and Restaurant is to continue operating on a month-to-month basis while the tender process is underway? Noting that City's own email stated the lease would continue during this process, with closure only required for major works. And given that the City has also stated the tender process takes approximately 5 months and cannot be released until after works are completed, which takes up to 2 months. So that's 7 months the business will be closed. If not, what justifications exist for reversing this commitment? Thank you.
Thanks for your questions, Miranda. I'm going to refer these through to the Acting CEO to provide responses. Thank you, Acting CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. On question 1, this matter has gone through a legal process and an agreement has been reached. The notice to vacate was issued in the...
Can you just move that microphone a little bit closer? Thanks, Acting CEO.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'll start again. Question 1. This matter has gone through a legal process and an agreement has been reached. The notice to vacate was issued in accordance with the terms of the lease, which was due to expire on 4 July 2026. The notice required the tenant to vacate the premises upon expiry of the lease. The City and the current tenant subsequently agreed to extend the current tenant's term of occupation until 4 August 2026. The City continues to act in accordance with that agreement. Question 2. The City acknowledges the contribution the business has made to the local community. However, the current tenant's tenure has always been limited to the term of the lease. Following the tenant vacating the premises, the City intends to undertake repairs and maintenance works to the building while concurrently undertaking an ROI process to identify a future operator. Upon completion of the works and the ROI process, the premises will reopen under a new operating arrangement. Question number 3. On 3 July 2026, the City reached an agreement with the current tenant to extend the term of occupation by 1 month until 4 August 2026. The City continues to act in accordance with that agreement and the tenant is required to vacate the premises by that date. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Acting CEO. Miranda, there's not the opportunity for this to be a debate. Those questions that you've submitted will be informed in the council minutes along with the written responses. You do have the opportunity to ask follow-up questions at a future council meeting, but the responses that have been provided are those ones. This isn't an opportunity for debate.
So I've got an opportunity to ask follow-up questions?
Not in this...
Next meeting?
Yes, Miranda, thank you. Thank you, and as I said, the minutes will also reflect those, both your questions and the responses as well, so you can have those formal written. So we do have questions from Michael, and please excuse my pronunciation, but it's Shimaskowski. Thank you. Michael, please come and join us. Now, similarly, there is an option for 3 questions. I note some of yours are multi-part questions, so if you can form that as part of your question and keep that in mind, we'll continue to go. But thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Doug. Is that switched on?
It is, I can hear you, thank you.
Good evening, councillors. My question is about 89 Beach Road. I say, why was this area, now known as 89 Beach Road, set aside as green space, planted with trees and not developed, whereas the adjoining areas were developed? It is known that the land was filled to a depth of 3 to 4 metres approximately, with unknown waste at some time. If it was unsuitable then for housing, how can it be suitable now for livability? If 89 Beach Road is sold and built on, will the City of Bunbury be liable for any building subsidence issues in the future? That's number 1.
Thank you, Michael. Continue.
Number 2, what is the urgency to sell 89 Beach Road when there are many other options for housing on non-vegetated areas of land? Why isn't the city maximising housing yield on sites like the Punch Bowl and the Back Beach area, both of which are being advertised with substantial reduction in home numbers than is permitted under the planning scheme? And why hasn't City of Bunbury land in Withers Crescent, zoned residential and clear of trees, been progressed? Number 3, does the sale of 89 Beach Road and the removal of 28 trees align with the City of Bunbury's own green plan document? Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Michael. Thanks for your questions. Again, given Council will be debating this item in next council meeting, I might refer to the acting CEO to provide commentary on these ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Question number 1. The lot wasn't set aside as green space. When it came to the city in 1970, it was simply considered too small to develop under the standards of the time. So it was classified parks and recreation. Its title carries no condition requiring it to stay open space, and as standards changed, it was assessed as suitable for housing and rezoned residential in 2015 through a public process and with WA Planning Commission approval. The lot's historical classification was about its size under the planning standards of the time, not ground conditions. Geotechnical investigation has confirmed construction rubble and uncontrolled fill to about 3 metres depth, placed before 1959 and predating the city's ownership. Filled land like this is common across developed areas and doesn't make a site unsuitable for housing. It simply means any development must be engineered to suit the ground conditions, which is a standard part of the building approval process. These findings were also factored into the independent valuation of the land. The land is sold subject to the sale contract and full disclosure of relevant information, including the geotechnical findings, so the purchaser can make an informed decision. Any future development is the landowner's responsibility and must meet all building and planning requirements, including engineering the foundations to suit the site. That's a standard requirement across the state for filled sites. Questions of legal liability are covered by the sale contract and the relevant legislation, and the city is ensuring the disposal is conducted accordingly. Question number 2. There is no reliance on any single site. 89 Beach Road is one of several parcels being progressed in parallel under the city's land rationalisation program, each at its own stage. It's an established, serviced, residentially zoned infill lot, so progressing it doesn't come at the expense of the larger sites. On density, the maximum permitted under the planning scheme is a ceiling, not a target. Appropriate yield is set aside by the site based on constraints, servicing and good planning outcomes. The site referred to, including Withers Crescent, are at different stages of that program. Question number 3. The city's greening plan sets out our commitment to protecting and growing tree canopy across Bunbury, and that commitment remains a genuine priority. The plan primarily guides the management and expansion of canopy on public land, reserves, parks, streetscapes, and city-managed spaces, where the city has direct ongoing control. In relation to the trees on this lot, a current vegetation assessment identified 28 trees, comprising a mix of southwest natives, other WA natives, interstate Australian species, and exotic species. The larger, more established specimens are exotic and interstate species, rather than local natives, and no significant trees requiring retention have been identified. Residential development also does not automatically mean the removal of all vegetation. Many properties across Bunbury retain established trees. More broadly, the city's canopy position is not static. Our baseline canopy cover of 13.7% from the 2020 mapping has increased to approximately 16.8% in updated 2025 mapping, reflecting ongoing planting and canopy growth across the city. The city remains committed to increasing canopy overall, while also responding to the significant need for housing, and balancing those two priorities is part of the strategic decisions Council must weigh. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Acting CEO. Beryl Cuxton. Thank you, Beryl.
Some of what you've said then may have answered some of my question, but it does relate to 89 Beach Road. And the sale, excuse me, nerves are getting me.
Just make sure you're speaking into that mic as well.
Sorry.
Beryl, just to
Okay.
so that. Thank you.
It's been said that, you know, this land is needed for housing. When there are a lot of houses that have been rezoned to commercial housing, and of course with that they need parking, so all trees are gone in the backyard for the parking. When housing is in short supply, why has that been rezoned to commercial? And why aren't more there's offices and buildings in town that should be taking on those offices instead of in the housing? I've mumbled that up a bit, but you have that in writing.
I've got your question here, Beryl, and this is a much more generic question, so I'm happy to answer that and give the Acting CEO a break. The City haven't actively rezoned any residential land to commercial in any recent time. What you may be referring to is that there's mixed zones and mixed use zones. So if there obviously, and there are some examples of that along Beach Road, and of course there's areas around the rest of our city that have mixed zoning, which does allow a person to either choose to develop that as residential or convert it to commercial. And of course, they have that option to change that back as well. So if there are people who have commercial properties in a mixed zone area, there may be opportunities for them to build or look at residential. In terms of the CBD and majority, in fact, a large majority of the land holdings within the CBD and buildings within the CBD are owned privately. So the city obviously can't influence that kind of development. We're very happy to speak to anybody who's looking at any kind of developments through that space, Beryl, and if you have some land there or you're aware of any individual properties, we could look into that. But obviously we'll have a formal response there as well provided to you. Thanks, Beryl. And Beryl, yeah, thank you. Next question did come, I think initially, so this is Judith Smith. Judith, thank you. Thanks, Judith.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. Just before I commence, my husband Greg actually sent in questions as well, and his name's not appeared on the public question time.
Okay, sure, we can add them.
Okay, thank you. Right, my first question. On Sunday night, the 19th of July, in Bunbury, apparently, a Dr. Carolyn Orr and Dr. Rachel Horncastle from Doctors for Environment Australia talked about our health versus their profit and the benefit of nature and urban greening. Attendees apparently were left feeling inspired and motivated to advocate for political representatives and policy that will look after health and nature. My question is, does the City of Bunbury acknowledge the benefits of green space, and in particular 89 Beach Road, being necessary for the well-being and mental health of Bunbury residents? Question 2. On the designated 89 Beach Road question and answer site on the City of Bunbury's website, it is clearly stated that should 89 Beach Road sell, the R15 zoning allows for 2 houses only, not high density. Quote, "This is not a large scale or high density development, it's 2 house blocks." So have we the City of Bunbury's guarantee that if sold, the new owner cannot apply to rezone for higher density? Because if you cannot guarantee this, then the City of Bunbury could be guilty of gross misrepresentation.
Thank you for your questions, Judy. Again, I will refer these ones to the Acting CEO. Thank you, Acting CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. Question 1. Yes, and we want to acknowledge that this clearly matters deeply to many in our community, and that feeling is genuine and valued. The city absolutely recognises the benefits of green space and nature for well-being and mental health. It's exactly why we have a Greening Bunbury plan, guiding our investment in canopy, parks and open space, and why our overall canopy is continuing to grow. On this particular lot, it is a vacant residential parcel without recreational facilities or a formal open space function, and its sale is one part of a much broader program through which the city remains committed to protecting and expanding genuine public green space right across Bunbury. On question 2, the lot is zoned R15, which allows approximately 2 dwellings, and that current zoning is exactly what the city statement reflects and what the sale is based on. Like any landowner in WA, a future owner has the legal right to apply to rezone. No council can remove that right. But applying is not approval. Higher density could not simply be built. It would require a formal scheme amendment, including council consideration, public advertising and approval by the WA Planning Commission. A public process with no guaranteed outcome. So, the city's statement about 2 house blocks accurately reflects the zoning that applies. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Acting CEO. And just in relation to the questions, we did have an email there that came through from Greg Smith, but it was those questions, that form. But once we'll get you at the end, and we don't have anything prepared at the moment, but we'll take, if we can answer the questions, we can. If not, we'll take them on notice. So it was meant to be George Everett, but it's now Gail Barker asking them on their behalf. So these responses will still go back to Georgia. But yeah, Gail, feel free to come and ask them on her behalf.
Good evening. Recently, there have been many public questions asked about the proposed sale of 89 Beach Road. The recorded responses to these public questions have consistently said more details will be made available about the sale when the disposal is formally advertised. This period was completed last Tuesday, the 21st of July at 4 p.m. The city's own webpage, Community Information 89 Beach Road, South Bunbury, also says the same, including that this page would be updated before the public notice period begins, but this has not happened. In this context, my questions are: why has no information other than sale price, no details of any sale conditions that might affect the value and nature of the transaction, and hence ability to determine whether this disposal is in the public interest, been disclosed? Question 2. Why has an offer well below the asking price, which seems well below land value in the current very strong land market, been accepted? Question 3. Why has the public notice identifying the land to be disposed only identify this land by lot number and not its commonly recognised address of 89 Beach Road, which is how the city has consistently referred to this land as well? Thank you.
Thanks for your questions, Gail, on behalf of Georgia. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. Question 1. Under Section 3.58 of the Local Government Act, the required details, which is the location, the purchaser and the sale price, have all been disclosed. Beyond that, the city has published considerable additional information, including the reasons for the sale and the site's history through the council report and community information page. It's a straightforward as-is sale with no sale and development agreement and no special conditions, and any conditions would be set out in the public council recommendation. Question 2. The initial 900,000 reflected an early valuation before ground conditions were fully known. Geotechnical investigation then confirmed construction rubble and fall to around 3 metres, which requires engineered foundations and materially reduces the land's development value. An independent valuer reassessed the property at 810 to 880,000 in light of those findings, and the accepted offer of 840,000 sits within that revised independent range. It was also the only formal offer received since the property was listed. Question 3. The lot number is the formal legal identifier for a parcel of land and is the correct way to describe it in the statutory notice. It precisely identifies the exact parcel being disposed of, whereas a street address is a general descriptor. There's been no attempt to obscure anything. In fact, alongside the initial statutory notice, the city ran an article in the City Focus that referred to the site as 89 Beach Road, consistent with all our community communications. So the statutory notice uses the correct legal identifier, and the city's broader messaging has consistently used 89 Beach Road address. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Acting CEO. So, Greg, if you want to come join us for your questions, and again, I apologise, I'm not sure what happened there. There was an email found from yourself, but I had the attachment of Judy's questions, so we might need to check that. If you ask them now, we'll probably take them on notice, but we can also follow them up as well. Thanks.
Okay, yep. Good evening, Mayor and councillors. My questions are in relation to 89 Beach Road as well. My first question is, when will the City of Bunbury make public its decision on the offer to purchase 89 Beach Road? Also, as vendors, what sale conditions were in place on this block prior to an offer being received, and what conditions were placed on the City of Bunbury by the prospective purchaser with the offer? Question 2. When and where will the City of Bunbury advise the number of objection submissions in relation to the proposed sale of 89 Beach Road? Question 3. Has the City of Bunbury conducted the normal occupational safety, health and welfare study of any planned realignment of the footpath on the northern end of 89 Beach Road? This would need to be done as the block boundary encroaches onto the footpath. Primary school children use this route, and any serious deviation of the footpath could endanger students' welfare.
Sure, thanks. I think I can answer 1 and 2. So obviously question 1, if decision, this will come back to council on the 18th of August, so 3 weeks' time. So obviously if a decision is made there, the decision would be made public after that. In terms of conditions, I think that was pointed out in an earlier question from Gail Parker in regards to that current arrangement. It is as is. If there are any additional conditions that are raised, that would be part of the council determination in that period, or in 3 weeks' time at the next council meeting. Question 2, you talked about submissions. That will be part of the council agenda as well. I understand that the names that will potentially be redacted, and I might actually just defer to the acting CEO on that, but the submissions are presented to council, all the elected members as part of the pack, and there will be a summary, but every single submissions in terms of what and where, again, as I said, that'll be part of that following agenda. That agenda will be due out next Thursday. I can't answer question 3, acting CEO. I'm guessing you'd like to take that on notice. Thank you. So we'll provide a written responses and a formal written responses to the first 2 questions. That's my answer to those, but obviously we'll have some formal responses to those as well, provided both to you in writing. If you could, I'm sure we captured those questions, Greg, but if you could just recheck that send and just forward that back on, so we have that as well, and we can make sure your questions are taken as written. Thank you for those. So for those who are here and want to stay during the meeting, clearly, as I said, the 89 Beach Road is not being dealt with tonight. It's being dealt with in 3 weeks' time, but you're more than welcome to stay for any other item for tonight's agenda. And we do have a special council meeting at 6:30 as well. But if you do want to go home, now is probably a good time to go before we start. Sure. No, Beryl, thank you. At the meeting, Beryl. At the meeting. Yep, sure. Thank you. Being very patient in that regard. Thank you. Okay. Okay, councillors, we will get into tonight's meeting, and noting we do have a special council meeting scheduled for 6:30, which has been advertised for meeting, and I will acknowledge, and apologies for not acknowledging, Sonia Dye is here representing Mr Punch. Thank you for attending, or as a concerned ratepayer potentially as well. So councillors, we do have the meeting scheduled and advertised at 6:30, so if this meeting is still occurring, I will be planning to adjourn this meeting to start the 6:30 special council meeting. So, item 7.1.1 is minutes from the previous ordinary council meeting. Do I have a mover for that? Thank you, councillor Kozlowski, seconded by councillor Ramesh. All those in favour, please indicate. Those in favour, thank you. That's carried unanimously, thank you. And we also have committee recommendations from the Audit and Risk Improvement Committee. Is somebody happy to move that they are true? And thank you, councillor Broad, and seconded by councillor Turner, thank you. I'll put that. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried, thank you. We have not received any that I'm aware of, petitions, presentations or deputations. Thank you. So coming out for tonight's council meeting, councillors, that's the budget. That's everything. Item 10.3.3 does require an absolute majority. Item 10.3.4 requires an absolute majority. Item 10.3.5, we do need to have some nominations for voting delegates. So those three items are the three items that I've got to come out for discussion. Is there any other items for discussion? Councillor Broad? Was around this the email you sent this afternoon, the CEO KPI? So item 10.3.7?
That's right, yes.
And that was just some questions? Yep. Any other items? So that was item 10.3.7 out for discussion. Councillor Ramesh?
Just a comment on 10.3.2. Just for future, if we can have at least an itemized list of all those exemptions we are doing before the next round of presentation, so we actually know who's getting what and everything, because we just go blind.
So Councillor Ramesh, we can't openly discuss an item. Do you want to pull that out for discussion, that item, and you can ask a question? Let's just do that, it's easier. Thanks, Councillor Ramesh. 10.3.2 coming out for discussion. Any others? If that is the case, is somebody happy to move the remainder? I moved on block. Thank you, Councillor Quain, seconded by Councillor Broad. I'll put that. Those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. So item 10.3 now, you had a question, Councillor Ramesh. You can ask that question.
So my comment and question was, we seem to be getting these applications, but we never really got the whole gist of how many people are actually getting the rate exemptions and what we're doing each year. Mm-hmm. So perhaps before the next round of next financial budget year, at least we should have what's the amount of rate exemptions we're allocating from the city's budget, if that's possible, so that we can make a sensible decision or a bit more evidence-based decisions on all this, because at the moment we're just going ad hoc, approving rate exemption application, but we don't know what the actual number of people who are getting rate exemptions as well.
Yeah, so you're talking about it more detailed. Obviously,
Yes.
it talks about the 439 properties and $1.8 million in rate revenue.
Yeah.
Probably need a few more pages of ink to write them all out individually, Councillor Ramesh. So I can ask the acting CEO if that information can be provided. But I will also note, I think, which is brought up with this item previously, Councillor Ramesh, is that although we are the approving, they need to apply for an exemption under the current Local Government Act. We actually have no right to reject it. So it's a bit of a rubber stamp exercise, but I'll ask if the acting CEO is able to provide that information.
Thank you for the question. Through the Mayor, yes, the finance team has already commenced a review of all those properties, looking at why they've been given exemption, and also just seeing that that is still in line with the requirements, so we can see if we can save some money there. And that report will come back to yourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Mersh, but a good comment / question, as it's important to highlight that. Is there any other questions on this? Otherwise, I will ask, sorry, I probably should have asked remover initially before I went to questions. Is there a mover for the executive recommendation? Thanks, Councillor Quain. Second to Councillor Turner. Was there any other questions? Is there likely to be any debate on this item? If that's the case, I'll put it. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. 10.3.3, councillors, does require a absolute majority. Somebody happy to, we'll get this on the table first. Somebody happy to move this? Councillor Turner, and seconded by Councillor Quain. Is there likely to be any debate on this item? If that's the case, I'll put that. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Item 10.3.4, we had a little bit of a conversation around last week. Was probably still not 100% sure of some of the wording around it, but is somebody happy to move it? Councillor Kozisek, seconded by Councillor Ramesh. Is there likely to be any debate on this item? Thank you. I'll put that item. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. So, councillors, I did ask, sorry, we missed one minute taker. 10.3.5, we just need some nominations. I did ask last week, but I've forgotten. There was a couple of members who said they were happy to be voting delegates. Can you guys remind me? Councillor Turner was happy too. Councillor Gassop, I think you put your hand up. Is there anyone else who wanted to be a voting delegate? And I've got yourself, Councillor Gassop. Okay, so we've got Councillor Turner and Councillor Gassett to be voting members, as I said last week, councillors. Yeah, I'll just also, just before I do, sorry, I'll just just making sure we don't do a vote. So nobody else wanted to be nominating. Did anyone else want to nominate to be a proxy? Councillor Brook, you'll be there, just making sure? Sure. So is there anyone who wants to be a voting delegate or proxy? If that's the case, I will now ask if somebody can move this executive ration that endorses Councillor Gassop and Turner. So I'll take Councillor Turner as the mover and Councillor Quain because I was looking that way. Likely to be any debate, councillors? Thank you. I'll put that. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Go get them. 10.3.7. I'll get this on the table first. Councillor Broad, and I believe you have some questions there. Somebody happy to move this particular report? Thank you, Councillor Kozisek. Is there a seconder? Councillor Ramesh. Councillor Kozisek, I believe you asked some questions today. Did you want to ask those questions or follow-ups? Councillor Broad, sorry. Sorry.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, I'm keen to better understand how the CEO ensures that his performance criteria is effectively cascaded down throughout the organisation to promote alignment at all levels.
Might defer this one to the acting CEO. Thank you.
Thank you for the question through the Mayor. When these are approved, then the acting CEO and the rest of the executives, the three directors, work together to identify what other KPIs need to be identified, and then those are rolled down into the directorates by the directors in consultation with the managers. The managers then roll that out into the teams, and we do regular tracking on the status of that. We also, every 6 months, provide a report to council on where we are with the CEO's KPIs. Thank you.
Councillor Broad, any follow-up questions?
Yes, just one more, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Yep.
While governance and risk don't appear to have standalone KPIs this year, how will these areas be integrated into the performance review process to ensure they remain a focus?
Yeah, I think I responded to this one earlier, Councillor Broad. I would crack and then ask if the acting CEO wants to provide anything further. But obviously the three pillars of the KPI performance, and one of them is his role of CEO, which picks up all his act and what he's responsible to follow under the act, which obviously does include risk in that part as well. So it is covered. It's not individually outlined as an individual KPI like some of the projects are, but obviously it is covered in that regard. But acting CEO, do you have anything further to add on that?
Through the Mayor, I can confirm. If I recall correctly, they call them Outcome 1 KPIs, and they're covered in there. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Is there likely to be any debate on this item, councillors? If that's the case, I'll put this item. Those in favour, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Councillors, that brings us to a close of this meeting. We're obviously re-meeting at 6:30 for the special council meeting. Councillor Gassab, I'm assuming you're staying online, so we'll see you shortly. For the rest of us, we'll see you in 20 minutes. Thank you. I will declare this meeting closed. Thank you.